What are your immediate thoughts, Maeve?
That Gastrodon's going to be absolutely huge, right? Because if you're working around that Kyogre and you have to deal with taking some sort of water type attack, you can switch in that Gastrodon. You can, just get a special attack boost there on your Gastrodon instead of taking any water type damage. If you can keep the sun up, especially with a max flare from the Reshiram, then you're allowed to possibly go pretty quick with that chlorophyll on Venusaur. You could even max that Venusaur if you really wanted to and get that extra damage each turn thanks to Venusaur's max move. But you still have this Tornogre combination, which we've seen for so long. In Paralyzation, it makes it a really tough Pokemon to kind of work around, because having that extra access to Hurricane 100% accuracy, to Thunder 100% accuracy with that Drizzle ability from Kyogre, it makes it really tough to move around. And especially with that Intimidate on that Landorus, you're going to possibly be able to kind of fling that around a little bit, as long as that Thundurus on the opponent's side isn't that defiant. Because if it is, then you got to start being careful about when you're bringing that Landorus, if you do bring it, because do you even want to when you've got a Kyogre with Ice Beam on the opponent's side? It's that tough matchup of where every Pokemon does something, but you don't want to bring every Pokemon because you can't.
Yeah, of course. It looks like we're seeing a Grimmsnarl and a Thundurus come out to play, and Landorus and Tornadus. Look, all three genies. How lovely. We are going to see Landorus's Intimidate come onto the field. Look, it is Defiant. That's confirmed right away, right out the gates. Oh my goodness. There goes that Intimidate, dropping the attack stats right here. Oh goodness, time to see. It looks like we can see that there's a Rock Slide, Earthquake, Protect, and Fly on the Landorus. Pretty standard set that we can see here, and contemplating the Dynamax right away to put that immediate pressure on the field.
Yeah, I mean, Dynamax is something I also pretty much agree with, right? Because if you're working against this Thundurus on the opposite side of the field, it's got its Defiant boost. It's probably going to want to max as well. Get behind some screens from that Grimmsnarl, especially. If you throw up that Reflect, then you're really not worrying as much about what that Landorus can do, and maybe get a max Airstream off just to start and get a little bit more speed control, right? Because now this Landorus it's got to get these max rock falls off onto the Thundurus on the opposite side of the field, and just try and get enough damage to get it off the field before it becomes a problem for the Kyogre on your side, because that Kyogre is really threatened by that Thundurus, and that's its biggest worry here. So Dynamax right out of the gate, like you said.
Wow, absolutely. Also, I just have to point out, I love that shirt. Like, that character shirt is just amazing. All right, there's the big Thundurus, big and aggressive. This is something we've been seeing throughout this tournament. Big Thundurus is here to come and play, and we're going to see what happens here. We're going to see the Dynamax as well coming from Daisy's side. All right, we've got big Dynamax v Dynamax. There's so many different options for the partner Pokemon here, so this is what I'm especially curious to see, if the predictions were correct, or is there something that's a bit of a surprise with some of these movesets.
Yeah, this Landorus, I think, is probably going to try and get as much damage off as possible, but it means that you don't have Dynamax options for your restricteds. Tailwind, though, going to be important to get your speed control first before the max Airstream can go, and Reflect going to go up to try and mitigate some of this damage from this Dynamax Landorus.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty standard turn here. There is the Max Quake coming in. Going to be targeting the Grimmsnarl. I want to get that Grimmsnarl off the field as quickly as possible, because it can be really annoying if you just leave it there to continue having screens and the other moves that it'll tend to have. We're getting that Spadef boost up there on the field. Max Lightning coming in on the Tornadus. This is going to hurt. Is it enough to get the knockout? Oh, we see that it is a Focus Sash Tornadus right there. All right, some great information coming in. It does hold on with 1 HP. We are seeing the Electric Terrain come out here. There's no Amoonguss this go around, but with Electric Terrain, there's no need to fear about going to sleep or things like that. And we are going to see the electric moves get boosted as well.
There is no Amoonguss, but there's always a chance with a Venusaur on that Sun team that you could get put to sleep as well. Maybe not on this Sun team. You might, it's not always a move that you see brought to these games. Having the Chlorophyll with it is nice, but it's not always something that you'll see moving around. But now you're still matching, you're not matching speeds, right? Kim is now slower because they didn't go for a max Airstream. They went for a max Lightning, which is, it's great to get that Lightning, that Electric Terrain up, helps a little bit later. But now you know that Daisy's Pokemon are faster. A Light Screen, though, setting up these screens from this Grimmsnarl, just trying to get yourself as bulky as possible, knowing you might lose it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yep, that speed's going to keep decreasing there with that Icy Wind. So Daisy wanting to maintain. Oh, but activating the Defiant, which is a little bit scary, don't you think? I'm a little scared whenever I see a Defiant go up here.
Yeah, Defiant's a little scary, but maybe you can go. Nope, a Max Quake again. So no Max Rockfall this time, going into this Grimmsnarl. Getting this Grimmsnarl off of the field at a bare minimum, right? But now you still have to contend with this Thundurus. at least you're not sending any defensive drops or anything. With that max Quake, you're boosting yourself, like with max Steel Spike.
Right.
Now you're taking a max Airstream. So you're still up one stage, but your Landorus is really hurt now thanks to that Defiant boost.
Yeah, and I love seeing the differences already here with this battle from our previous battle. We had a lot of a slower setup, and here we're just really seeing out the get-go all of the pressure, the power coming in. Groudon's going to join the field, set up some sun right here. Oh goodness, we're gonna see that's gonna definitely boost that Groudon a bit. Oh goodness, Daisy's Pokemon are looking very weak there, but again, the speed is on Daisy's side here.
Yeah, like you said, the speed is on her side, and you also now have a great opportunity for a max Rockfall and an Icy Wind. This Groudon can't do a whole lot here. It's just going to have to kind of sit and deal with this last turn. Icy Wind, though, going to be able to do super effective damage onto this Thundurus. You have to hope you get the knockout here with this max Rockfall, because if you don't, then you're giving it another... You're putting it at +4, or sorry, +6 with this Defiant, because it already had the Intimidate. It is now at its highest attack stat that it could possibly be at. So max Rockfall has to put in the work here. You have to get this knockout, and you don't even get close. Right? So now you're at +6 with a Thundurus, and we've seen how strong this has been all throughout this game, all throughout this Hatterene series.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Thundurus is going to go for the max Airstream, trying to get that knockout and boost that speed a little bit. It's enough, so that's a great play there to boost that speed any way that you possibly can. And yeah, this is looking scary. That Thundurus really did need to go down here. Anytime I see a +6, I'm quaking in my boots right now.
Absolutely, right? Because now if you send in your Kyogre, which does make sense, right? Because you've got the Sandstorm up, if you want the weather in your favor, you are able to kind of get that Kyogre in. But now this Thundurus can go for a, can go for a Thunder or any sort of electric type move and get a ton of damage off. Your Zacian is going to be able to possibly go a little bit faster if need be, but your Kyogre, if it's not Choice Scarfed, you could be going a little, you could be dealing a little bit here with that speed, but it's at enough of a speed boost, I think, that you might still be slower. So it's a really tough spot to be in. It's a really tough spot to move forward. You at least get the Drizzle, but then even then, this Groudon could go for a pretty powerful double target move. It sits pretty comfortably in front of Zacian as well. Groudon's not exactly the Pokemon you want your Zacian to be stuck in front of, because that Groudon can go for something like a Heat Crash if it really wants to. It can go for Precipice Blades, which is going to still do plenty of damage onto the Zacian as long as it connects. So this Thundurus here, this Thundurus is horrifying. Like, I'm looking at it and I am just absolutely terrified for whoever has to kind of sit and look at it. But you have to just hope that you move faster and that you're able to deal with it. Zacian able to go first, which is huge. And if it can take out this Thundurus, then I think Daisy's in a great spot to move forward. But instead, it's into that Groudon.
Oh, yeah. Interesting play there. Okay, so it does a little bit under half right there, and we are going to see that Water Spout, which does get both knockouts right there. Kyogre showing its strength right there. Oh, that was a critical hit. Interesting.
Not sure if that critical hit is it would have mattered all too much, but it's huge, right? You have to wonder, your Tailwind's gone, which timed out at the exact perfect moment, right? Daisy is playing 4D chess here, brings in that Venusaur. Venusaur doesn't get the boost from its son, from its partner Groudon, who is now off of the field. And, I think this is pretty comfortably the wrap up for this game, right? Absolutely well played, just timing that out. You and I were horrified at the prospect of this Thundurus, but Daisy had a plan kind of in the back. My fear was on those speeds, right? Because if you're worried about the speed of that Thundurus, then that's when things start to get a little bit tough, right? Behemoth Blade, though, I think Behemoth Blade and Ice Beam are going to comfortably wrap this up for Daisy.
Yeah, absolutely. It just goes to show that if you have that confidence, and even in your calculations, knowing exactly how much damage your team is going to do to those Pokemon, yeah, look at that, wrapped up. So even in front of a big +6 Defiant right there, Daisy's able to pull this game one. What a great game to start this set off with.
Yeah, it shows absolutely how important that Tailwind was right out of the gate. That Tornadus, even if it did nothing else, getting that Tailwind was absolutely huge. Those Icy Winds were helpful kind of moving forward, I think, because you were still able to kind of keep the speeds in your favor, match the speed drop for the speed boost with those max Airstreams. You do set it up, but if you're confident enough that when you send in both of your most powerful Pokemon on your team, both of your restricteds, that you can handle it and you can be faster, then that's easily the way that you play your end game. You have to, that's the tough thing about Dynamax, right, is you have to still think about 3 turns ahead, plus then what's going to happen after those 3 turns, because If you allow that Thunderous to get set up and you don't account for it being faster, then you move into a tougher position, right? So I think that you're gonna have to worry. I think Kim maybe even wants to bring. I could see Zacian, sorry, not Zacian. I could see Gastrodon possibly coming here. I think it would still be nice to have, but you do have to worry about the Landorus possibly with some Max Quakes, getting some nice damage off. Gastrodon can just be kind of a Pokemon that sits on the field and doesn't do anything if you don't get it in the right spot, and it doesn't have a ton of offensive pressure.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to see that Torn Ogre lead right away. So a bit of an adjustment here, a bit of a different start. Yeah, we're going to see if we see that Gastrodon and that Storm Drain ability. Oh, goodness. I know from my own personal experience, Storm Drain can be very, very annoying. I don't think we tend to see Sticky Hold much on Gastrodon. So, unless we're going to see a last-minute change here. It looks like Kyogre is going to be brought into the back.
Yeah, I'm not terribly surprised. I could always see, I could see the same lead that they had the very first time. Actually interesting, right? This is where you see the mind games. I've seen people switch their teams 80 different times, and I'm guilty of it as well. So this is kind of where you're at that game too. What you had worked, but it might not work for the next game because of the adjustments. So the adjustment to the adjustment is really one of the nicer things about having a best of 3 format, because it really kind of shows how great you can how much you can focus moving forward. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if they don't bring that Thunderous, right? Because that Thunderous, that Tornadus was a really big help with that Tailwind. So game 2 here, we'll see if Kim made any matching adjustments. You have to assume that there is going to be something, because that Thunderous that you were able to boost up, it wasn't able to end that game for you. So same lead as last time. We'll see if there are any game plan changes.
Yeah, we're seeing that Thunderous and that Grimmsnarl and that Zacian Grimmsnarl. Nice little bit of a mirror match there, almost, of course, minus the partner Pokemon. The Intrepid Sword going to be boosting that Zacian. Zacian is so fast and quick, and yeah, we're going to see how this is going to change. Also to note that this Zacian is running that play rough. So again, we've been seeing so many different sets throughout this tournament here. Yeah, seeing who's going to be the immediate threat. Is there going to be a Dynamax turn 1 here? Are we going to get, most likely going to see that Reflect go up immediately to add some defensive stats to the team.
Thunder is actually not going for a Dynamax this turn, which I think is really interesting. Venusaur comes right out, though. Maybe Sleep is that main priority. So no turn 1 Dynamax like we saw last time. Reflect instead from the Grimmsnarl. Probably going to see a match there on the opposing side.
Yeah, seeing a much slower start to the game, some more positioning here. Yeah, oh my goodness, Venusaur can be scary. There is no sun up yet, so that Chlorophyll is not going to come into play just yet. Behemoth Blade, let's see who it's going to target. Right now, it's targeting that Grimmsnarl. Is it going to be enough to get the knockout? It looks like it is! Oh man, 1 hit. There's no sash or anything on this Grimmsnarl. See you later, good friend. It was nice knowing you.
One thing that I love, right? I'm thinking about this right now, thinking about Kim's game plan moving forward. You send out Groudon right here, right? Then you can Gigantamax your Venusaur. You can go for that Frenzy. It's not Frenzy Plant, my brain, too many Gigantamax moves, but you can start getting that chip damage every single turn if you're able to get that move off. So even if you have that Reflect and you're not able to move as powerfully, then you could possibly still do a ton of damage just over time and just start whittling away. It's a great option to possibly move forward, or if you're running Spore would be a good time to start going for it now. But I think changing up your Dynamax Pokemon could be really beneficial here, because Daisy might have prepped for a stronger Thunderous, maybe brought a Pokemon that can kind of handle it a little bit more comfortably, like this Zacian lead, maybe bulking up your side as you deal with the bulking up of their side. Getting some Behemoth Blades off into a Dynamax Pokemon can be super helpful, but instead you could be dealing with some pretty annoying Venusaur shenanigans and some Precipice Blades to follow. Zacian and gonna duck right out of that and bring in Landorus.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Yeah, we're going to see what happens here. Do we see the Dynamax? Okay, we are getting the Intimidate, which Venusaur is a special attacker, so not going to harm the Venusaur too much here. The Groudon is going to get cut. We are going to see that light screen. I'm sure slightly afraid of what this Venusaur is capable of. You definitely want to protect. Okay, we are seeing the Sleep Powder coming onto that Landorus. Is this Landorus going to be Berry? We're about to find out if it'll stay asleep or not. I know, yep, there it is. We're seeing that Lumberry. It is not going to go to bed right this second. Okay, we're seeing the Precipice Blades. It does not affect the Landorus. Great swap in there. We're going to see that Grimmsnarl able to hang on. No problem. It's doing about 1/4 damage right there.
Yeah, but no real damage output, right? That is the toughest thing. This Venusaur can spore again. There's no reason for it not
Yeah.
to. Going into a spore onto this Landorus can just trying to stop this Landorus from going for a max Quake, from going for a max Rockfall or a max Airstream or anything that can really put a bunch of pressure on you. You know that it's Lumberry, so now you know it's not Assault Vest, right? So you can assume it might be carrying Protect, which is something to pay attention to as well, because if it goes for a Protect and you don't hit it with that Spore, then you continue to leave that Venusaur open to attack. Not that Grimmsnarl and Spirit Break are going to do a ton of damage, but it does mean that you're setting this pace slower, and I think both of these players are really waiting to Dynamax. They're almost waiting for the other player to go, almost like a game of reflexes. But Kim, she breaks that first and starts her Dynamax right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you just need to know when you need to put that pressure on there, especially if you're in a tricky situation. Looks like we're going to see a Groudon nice and big here to play. Look at that roar. Oh my goodness. I love Groudon so much. What a great Pokemon. All right, we're going to see what's going to happen here. It looks like the Sleep Powder is going to come out onto the Landorus, but it avoids. Oh, and Landorus going for the fly. Oh, unfortunate miss there. Oh my goodness. That's huge.
Yeah, that is absolutely huge.
Oh, Max Quake, it looks like it's going to be going into the Grimmsnarl there. Okay, we're going to see the stat boost from that Max Quake as well. That Grimmsnarl still hanging on there. Oh my goodness. Yeah, huge miss with that Sleep Powder. Oh my goodness.
An absolutely huge miss, like you said. This Venusaur is now going to have to deal with possibly getting hit with a fly on that next turn and taking a Spirit Break right now for its trouble. Not that it does much to Venusaur, but it most importantly drops that special attack. So Venusaur is not going to be able to do it maybe as much output. I think its primary goal was to get some spores on the field, but you could easily swap it in for something that's not going to take as much damage from a fly that comes in. Or if you're running Protect, would be a great time to use it. Allow Groudon to get off another Max Quake and get some boosts on your side as well. But Thundurus, I think, takes a fly a lot better than a Venusaur does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Looks like we're going to see the Scary Face to try and reduce that speed of this Groudon. Honestly, this Grimmsnarl doing its job, just trying to debuff the opponent as much as possible. Okay, there's that fly coming in and going to take it like a champion. That Thunder is not very effective at all. Max Rockfall going to come in. Let's see, is it going to be onto the Grimmsnarl or it is onto the Landorus right there? Okay, but Landorus is going to tank that hit. Does not even get down to halfway right there. We are going to see the weather change and bring out that Sandstorm. And we do see that the Groudon is Life Orb as well.
Yeah, Life Orb, which is really important to note at this point. This Grimmsnarl is really tanking, which is very much in turn thanks to its Reflect and its Light Screen that it's set up, but it's also paying dividends in its partner Landorus, because Landorus can go for something like a fly, and then even if it takes a max Rockfall, you're seeing it's only doing about 30% of its HP, so it is going to possibly be able to go for something like a Rock Slide onto the Thundurus this turn. Maybe you could even Dynamax here if you wanted to and try and go for a Max Quake onto the Groudon. Might not be the right Pokemon to Dynamax. I think Daisy would behoove her to possibly wait until this Groudon's Dynamax has ended and to start her own and get that pressure off, but it does kind of put you at a disadvantage for the few turns prior to it. And we'll see that Dynamax Landorus, right? That is going to come out and probably put a good amount of pressure onto the Pokemon on Kim's side right when she needs it.
Right. Especially when you're having a bit of a slower start to your gameplay. You never want to wait too long and then miss your opportunity. So opting to add some pressure right now while the Dynamax is still on the opponent's field on Kim's side. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting play right here. We're going to see this Thundurus is going to go for a Protect. We're going to see if it can hold on here, if that's who gets targeted. And the Max Rockfall is going to come in. Let's see, is it attacking this Thundurus? It looks like, yep, it is going to go into it, but thanks to that Protect, it's not going to do too much damage. I think that would have definitely hurt without that Protect there. Spirit Break into the Protect as well. So great Protect there on that Thundurus. Max Quake out here going to, let's see, who's it targeting? It's going into that Grimmsnarl. I think Grimmsnarl finally does go down. It tanked many hits, but you know what? It lived its best life.
I think Grimmsnarl did exactly what it needed to, right? Because you are allowing the Pokemon to get that boost from that Max Quake, but it does force a target for those Max Quakes because then it keeps the pressure off of your Landorus. And this Landorus can still sit pretty comfortably. It doesn't mind having the Sandstorm out. You can send in a Pokemon that can possibly do more damage to the Groudon. You just have to protect through one turn of Dynamax if you really are concerned about it. But having this pressure of the Max Rockfalls through those Protects, you now have a good chance to get another one coming in. They could switch that Thundurus out, maybe bring in the Venusaur once again, predicting a Max Rockfall that wouldn't do as much damage to that Venusaur as it would to the Thundurus, and we know how important that Thundurus was for the game plan in the last game. So it's something that you have to kind of pay attention to now, because this Groudon is no longer Dynamax. It can fire off a Precipice Blades into this Zash, and it can go for a Heat Crash if it really wants to, but Now is the time for Daisy to get faster. You saw her clicking max airstream. You saw that she's trying to just boost up the Pokemon on her side. You get the Zacian, that speed boost, then it doesn't have to worry so much about the Thundurus. And if the Thundurus goes for some type of strong attack into the Zacian just to weaken it so that Groudon can finish it up, if it isn't able to hit with Precipice Blades, then you're at least getting some pretty important damage coming down later. So it's a tough spot, right? Because Daisy she looks like she's in the driver's seat, but she does have to play this very carefully moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And with 3 Pokemon still on both players' field, all it takes is a little bit of extra positioning to get to where you need. And you also notice that the players were taking quite a little bit there to kind of make their decision here, because one play could turn the tides here. Looks like that Thundurus is going to swap out into Venusaur, which that max airstream is going to hurt that slot. Okay, we're going to see the Behemoth Blade come out to play here. It makes me wonder if Daisy was predicting this swap in or not. Oh my gosh, and that does so much damage. Oh, there's a critical hit right there. Oh, goodbye, Venusaur.
That is an absolutely huge critical hit. It gets that Venusaur out of the way and allows you to do damage to the Groudon. Max Airstream doesn't do a ton, right? But any amount of damage helps along with getting that boost. This forces that Thundurus back in later, and it's going to mean that this Thundurus is going to have to be a little bit slower. P-Blade's not going to affect the Landorus there. Precipice Blades, though, will go into the Zacian. It is not enough to knock that Zacian out. Really big thanks to that Reflect from that Landorus. And you know, that Groudon not being able to capitalize on using it, and that Thundurus is forced back out into this game. So this Thundurus could be dealing with a max Rockfall. This is the last turn of Dynamax from the Landorus. It's most likely going to try and protect here if it can, and try not to take as much damage until this Landorus ends its Dynamax, and then maybe go for some powerful attacks of its own and hope for some Rock Slide misses. So Thundurus, yeah, going for that protect this turn.
Yeah, absolutely. You can really see the pressure that's on the field from having that extra turn of Dynamax. Yeah, you're going to need to protect here just to have an inkling to stall that last turn, because that's so much damage. All right, yep, protecting against both. That's an excellent play there, because it is definitely scary, and you don't want to take that full damage from this max Rockfall. Let's see how much damage it's going to do. Is it going to be enough? It is not going to be enough, so great protect there. Able to hang on one more turn. Even with that Sandstorm damage, I don't think it's going to take it out. So, yep, all right, now we're back to every Pokemon no longer Dynamaxed on the field.
Yeah, but you do have to now think the Zacian's most likely faster than that Thundurus, right? Because you had that max airstream from that Groudon from 2 turns prior, which is really huge. This Thundurus is not going to be able to do anything because it's not Prankster, right? It's not going to be able to go for know that it's that Defiant. Zacian's going to be able to Behemoth Blade into either slot that it wants right now, most likely into that Groudon because, into that Thundurus, because that Thundurus is the bigger threat to both of these Pokemon. Groudon can only hit Precipice Blades into the Zacian, and a Quake and an Earthquake or any sort of ground type move from the Landorus is going to do enough damage. Rock Slide, gonna be a pretty comfortable move as well, as long as it hits. Maybe go for some flinches here, and I think this is gonna be a nice way to wrap up. Precipice Blades doesn't hit Landorus, does hit Zacian.
Yep, there we go. Oh my goodness, and goodbye to Zacian. Landorus, yep, hanging in there. Wow, what a fantastic set. All right. Oh my goodness. Yep, Groudon taking all of that damage from the Life Orb. The Sandstorm is gone, but yeah, as you said, fantastic game. There goes the Reflect. Flex going away, and Kyogre is going to come in here and clean up against this Groudon.
Yeah, and this is Kyogre's favorite spot to be in right now. It has absolute control over the weather. Groudon can't do anything about it. This is most likely just going to be a forfeit from Kim unless you know, they really try and play it out, but I don't believe that there's any real reason not to. You can go for a Rock Slide, anticipate a flinch possibly, and just go for a Water Spout. You're at full HP. No matter what you do, that's going to kind of be the end of it. Rock Slide will connect. You're going to do as, you know, it's a really nice way to see if you hope for a Rock Slide miss and then and then maybe an Origin Pulse as the choice move, and then that misses. But at this point, Daisy had it very comfortably wrapped up. A really nice game too. Really interesting adjustments on her part, even though she won in that game one. Her game two adjustments I thought were really, really smart, and a really nice way to kind of wrap up that end game and kind of just, you know, put herself in a solid position at least midway through the game and follow that game plan all the way through to the end.
Yeah, I really want to applaud that adjustment in game two, because so often you will see, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And you lead the same thing again, because you don't necessarily need to make that adjustment. And in some ways it can be a risk, right? Because if you lead incorrectly or in a way that gives you a disadvantage, then, you know, you're in trouble. And so I know that it can take a lot of energy and confidence to kind of make that adjustment and make that risky prediction. And so it really worked out in Daisy's favor. And that was really awesome to see. You know, it always inspires me to see players kind of just go for it. And, you know, it worked out great there.
I'm curious to see, right? Because we saw that Venusaur, if only that Venusaur was able to put in the work that Kim really wanted it to. I think that Venusaur, because it ended up not working because the Landorus had that Lumberry, right? That was the item. And you go for those sleep powders and you hope it's not holding Lumberry, you hope it's not holding safety goggles. Really, those item choices can be so pivotal against teams that really value the use of sleep, whether that be from Venusaur and its sleep powder, or Spore from Amoonguss, or even a blind hypnosis from something like a Clefairy with Friend Guard, or Sing, not hypnosis. But either way, right, it makes it a little bit tougher for those Pokemon to really best utilize it. And Venusaur wasn't able to go for any other moves. It didn't have any access to Weather Ball that we saw. It might have, but there's a good chance that it did, but we ended up not seeing it. There could have been a couple of different moves that I think could have been well utilized, especially against that Kyogre, but that Venusaur ended up getting knocked out midway through the game, and you didn't even see that Kyogre really till the end of game 2. So Kyogre kind of just hid in the back until it was time to just come in and wrap up. So really nice adjustments from Daisy, especially prioritizing that Thundurus. And even if that Thundurus didn't Dynamax, you still have to pay attention to it. You can't let that thing set up. We've seen it be a nightmare literally